Well, it's rewind to the 80s. A friend of mine has a 1982 Austin Metro car. They were based on the old Mini. Used more or less the same engine and transmission lump. Then that went on into the 1100s and the Allegro, didn't it? Known as All Agro because of the build quality. And it finally finished up in the Metro in that form. The old A series engine. His is a 1275 cc car from 1982, and it looks like new. They keep it garaged, and that's how they get away with it. Everything else, the salt air around here destroys rapidly if it's that old. Ah dear, such is life. Anyway, they've found a radio cassette for it of suitable vintage, which has rendered this thing obsolete. It's a Philips 060 Mark II cassette player, and although it's very, very basic, you've only got volume, balance and tone. There's no radio on here, and a little light to tell you that the tape is running. It's very nicely made. The motor is the same motor that they used on the old 1960s cassette decks, such as the N2400 over there. Even the speaker plugs are the same as one of those. And the same solid build quality is carried through as well. You've got the metal plating there. It's about twice as thick as that you'd find in today's chinky made rubbish. Under here is the take-up spool. There is no rewind on this. It's only got the one spool. And sets like this were notorious for eating tapes. But with this one, it's a little bit different. What you have under there is a wiper arm running on a faceplate, and all the time there's a signal coming from that assembly to the motor control. The motor will keep running. Should it reach the end of the tape, or should the tape jam, the signal won't get through and the motor control stops the motor immediately. So you don't get eaten tapes with this. The flywheel is solid brass, machine perfectly concentric. I came across one not so long ago that was again made in China, and where the belt drove onto the flywheel, it was actually doing that. So of course it wouldn't run at the right speed. The speed fluctuated whatever you tried to do with it. God dear, rubbish. The take-up spool on here runs in a sinter bronze bearing, which I've put a little bit of oil in, and there's a stainless steel shaft in the middle of it. It's all very nicely put together indeed. Now in most of these sets, when you pushed fast forward, all it did was to lift the pinch roller away from the capstan. This would allow the take-up spool to speed up to whatever speed it would do at top whack and wind the tape on. Not really very fast, but with this one, when you press fast forward, which you do by pressing the button that pops out when you insert a tape, pushing it in further will eject the tape, push it in half and it speeds the motor up. You may be able to see, you can't see the flywheel too easily anymore. Yep, there we are. Sure enough, it's wound to very near the end of the tape. And there you are, you push it in all the way and the tape pops out. The strange thing is that when it disengages drive like that, it twists the belt. But when you put a tape back in, it all straightens up again. Every time. Somebody knew what they were doing, didn't they? And as you can hear, that electronic motor control system is spot on. There's no tendency to wow or flutter. Many of these things had the awful governator motors in them, and once they started mucking about, there was nothing you could do with them, well, except to change it for a decent electronic motor. So this one is a little bit better than average, well, a lot better than average really. The power amp on this is a microchip, and you can see it's hidden away there. Screwed to the casing as a heatsink. And the preamp too is a microchip. I think that's probably it there. Two parallel lines of soldering. Anyway, so well done, Philips of Belgium. So that's where this was made. It's not a Dutch one, or a French one, or a German one, or even one made here in England. It's made in Belgium. Just have a look on the back. You may just be able to see the sticker there. Oh dear. Well, there we are then. After a couple of new belts and a spot of oil here and there, runs as good as new. If only they still made things like that. Bye for now.